In Overlord Season 4, we finally got to meet the second most respectful and one of my favorite characters in the series. That's right, it's the Martial King himself, the Warthro Gogin, and I wanted to do a quick video on his character simply because somehow, even with such little screen time, he was able to become such a likable character. So in this video, I'll be going over some of the cut content on Gogin's character and give a brief overview on his general character as well. As always, if you haven't watched Overlord Season 4 Episode 4 yet, here's a spoiler warning just in case, and if you enjoyed the video, feel free to give it a like and maybe subscribe to the channel for more Overlord content. So let's start with the basic. Who is the Martial King? His name is Gogin, and he's a rare variant of trolls that specializes in battle known as a Warthro, and he's similar to Gu, the Warthro that Ainz had killed and made into a zombie back in Season 3. And it would have been nice if we had learned about his backstory, but sadly that portion of the story was cut out from the anime because in the light novel, during the conversation between Gogin and Ainz, there was a flashback about his time prior to becoming the Martial King. Essentially what happened was 10 years ago, Gogin had appeared around the outskirts of the Baruf Empire. Rumors started to spread about a powerful monster attacking people, but unlike most Warthros, he doesn't actually attack unarmed people or people who throw away their weapons. But still, the Baruf Empire decided to send their strongest wizard, Fluder Paradine, to kill the monster, and that's when Ainz heard about the rumor. Ainz was curious about the monster, so he decided to rush over before it was eliminated by Fluder, and after finding the monster, he asked Gogin about his actions and he simply told Ainz that he just wanted to train to become stronger. Now, because Ainz had always admired the strong and the art of fighting, he always dreamt of becoming a fighter himself, but he lacked the aptitude for combat. So when Ainz saw Gogin, he wanted to recruit the Warthro and train him to become the ultimate warrior and experience his dream of becoming a fighter through Gogin. He then became a gladiator in the Imperial Arena, and that's essentially how the both of them met. Eventually, Gogin earned the title of Martial King when he defeated the previous one, named Rotten Wolf Kulevo Paratinen, and he was even deemed as the strongest Martial King in the Empire's history. That said, what was the lead up that caused Gogin to fight against Ainz? Well, basically, this was briefly shown in the anime, in which Ainz had wanted to recruit adventurers to the Sorcerer Kingdom so that he could open a new adventurers guild that prioritizes exploring the unknown instead of just doing mercenary work. That's why he wanted to start in the Empire since it was an allied nation, and because Ainz was acquainted with Ainz, the promoter for the Martial King or the Imperial Grand Arena, they were able to set up a special fight between Ainz and the Martial King. Which brings us to the present when the fight was about to begin, and again there was a bit of interesting dialogue that was left out, like how Gogin had sensed the strength of Ainz, and despite that he was shaking in fear, he was still excited to finally fight someone powerful and that he's thankful to Ainz for keeping his promise to find a strong opponent for him to fight. There's also a funny dialogue where Ainz asks Gogin to find a wife so that Ainz can train his future children to become even more powerful warriors. Before I talk about the fight, let's take a look at Gogin's strength. Now, being not just a troll but a Warthro, he possesses several racial abilities that make him stronger, like he has a more muscular and stronger body, his fighting abilities were much more refined, and his overall basic stats were greater than normal humans as well. He also had the benefit of having really hard skin, although in exposed areas like his joints, they could be easily targeted. That's why he wears a heavy armor to compensate for that weakness. But what made him dangerous was his insanely powerful regeneration ability that allows him to recover from most fatal injuries, although it seems like the regeneration ability can still be countered with fire or acid. However, Gogin doesn't just rely on brute force but his intelligence and cunningness as well, like when he managed to catch Ainz off guard with a bluff and use his secret move to damage him. Also, as the Martial King, he was quite versed in various martial arts skills, and we actually saw some of it during his fight with Ainz. He had high reinforcement and greater height reinforcement, both abilities that harden his skin. Then there's Strong Strike, which increases the power of his striking attacks, and this is used in conjunction with his divine skill Single Flash, a flashbang-like skill that blinds the enemy. The last one we saw used is Flow Acceleration, a skill that increases his own attack and movement speed. But in any case, Gogin is not just the strongest Martial King, he's actually the strongest in the Empire, even stronger than the 4 Imperial Knights, which says a lot about how weak they are rather than how strong Gogin is. However, his strength does mostly come from his racial abilities, because if we discount those and just look at his warrior abilities, he's only estimated to be around a silver rank warrior. Ainz even stated that with all the limitations that he put on himself during the fight, his own warrior skills were only estimated to be around level 33, so with how easily he defeated Gogin, I would guess Gogin's level should be around the 28 to 30 range, give or take. Now regarding the fight, when both opponents met in the arena, they introduced and greeted each other with mutual respect, and before the fight started, they made an agreement that if Gogin were to win, he would get to eat Ainz, and should Ainz win, he would become his subordinate. The interaction between them was honestly my favorite because we get to see what kind of person Gogin actually is. He's rational, intelligent, and quite open-minded. In fact, he didn't even laugh or look down on Ainz's name being long like conventional trolls, and it was quite funny how he managed to change the perception of Ainz on trolls as well. So the fight started and it was obvious what the outcome would be, although it was still commendable that he managed to do some damage to Ainz. Granted, Ainz did remove most of his skills and immunities. However, the difference in power was far too great and Ainz was ready to end the match, but before that, Gogin had requested to at least experience the true strength of Ainz even if it was only just a fraction of it. Ainz, seeing his warrior resolve and motivation, accepted his request and proceeded to show him the true pinnacle of strength. With that, Ainz pierced through Gogin with his stiletto and killed him, but afterwards he resurrected the Martial King and simply used the opportunity to promote his recruitment project to the audience. And now that Ainz defeated him, I guess Gogin is now Ainz's subordinate, and I like to believe that he's a substitute for Gazestronov, who was also given the same offer once before. On that note, who do you think would win in the fight? The Martial King Gogin or the head warrior Gazestronov? Feel free to share your thoughts down below. But anyways, despite the little screen time Gogin has, I certainly enjoyed his character because he's strong, respectful, and knows his limitations. Basically another Gazev, but still a good character nonetheless. And now that he's the subordinate of Ainz, I hope we'll get to see more of him in the future. Maybe he'll join the new adventurous guild that Ainz is setting up back in Nirantau, but who knows, since the light novel doesn't really mention him anymore afterwards. With that, this has been a brief overview on the most respectful war troll in the series, and what are your thoughts on Gogin overall? Let me know in the comments down below and any suggestions that you might have. If you enjoyed this, feel free to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel for more Overlord content in the future. As always, thanks for watching and stay safe everyone.